I stared first at my cousin and then at the horse. There was a pious stillness and humor in each of them, which on the one hand delighted me and on the other frightened me. Now he looked at his cousin and the horse, and there was sacred stillness, sacred quietness, and amusement in each of them, that is, Murad and the horse. He looked from one to the other and felt very happy. He delighted him a lot. Why? Because he also was very crazy about horses. He wanted to ride horse. And on the other, frightened me. He also felt frightened. Why? Because he knew Murad could not purchase a horse. No one in the tribe could purchase the horse. So, if he could not purchase it, he must have stolen it. Murad, I said, where did you steal this horse? Leap out of the window, he said, if you want to ride. He did not answer his question. He told him to leap out, jump out, and if he wanted a ride. It was true then. He had stolen the horse. Because he had not answered his question, he had not denied also. He did not say that, no, I have not stolen it. So, Aram assumed that he had stolen the horse. There was no question about it. He had come to invite me to ride or not, as I chose. So, there was no doubt now, and he had come just to give him a ride, invite him for a ride if he wanted to. Well, it seemed to me stealing a horse for a ride was not the same thing as stealing something else, such as money. So now, because he was so fond of horses, he was so tempted to ride the horse, he convinced himself that it is not stealing. If you only want to ride a horse, you take a horse just to ride it, it does not mean stealing. Stealing is actually something like money. For all I knew, maybe it wasn't stealing at all. So, he thought that maybe it is not stealing at also, because if you were crazy about horses the way my cousin Murad and I were, it wasn't stealing. Now, because they were so fond of having horse rides and they had taken only to ride the horse, so that is not stealing. It wouldn't become stealing until we offered to sell the horse. So, what he thought? He thought that unless and until we decide to sell the horse, if they sell the horse, only then it will be stealing. Which, of course, I knew we would never do. He knew, he was very sure that they both were not going to sell the horse. Let me put on some clothes, I said. All right, he said, but hurry. He told him to hurry. I leapt into my clothes. Leapt here is used because he hurried into his clothes. I jumped down to the yard from the window and leaped up onto the horse behind my cousin Murad. And he jumped out in the yard and leapt onto the horse. That year we lived at the edge of town. Now that year they were living at the border of the town, that is outside part of the town, on Walnut Avenue. Now Avenue is a broad road having trees on either side at regular intervals. Behind our house was the country. Now behind the house it was village area. Vineyards where wines are grown, grapes are grown, orchards, fruits are grown, irrigation ditches, earth is dug to store water, or thin channels are made in order to transfer water in the field. And country roads, village roads. In less than 3 minutes, we were on Olive Avenue. And then the horse began to trot. Trot means run fast. The air was new and lovely to breathe. In the morning air was very fresh and very lovely, very nice. The feel of the horse running was wonderful. They were very fond of riding the horse, and now they were on the horse. It felt very good. My cousin Murad who was considered one of the craziest members of our family, began to sing. Now Murad, as it is, he was a very lively person, and many people thought him to be partly crazy, mad. He began to sing. He began to roar. He was not a good singer. That roar is to take out deep, prolonged voice. every family has a crazy streak in it somewhere. So now he generalizes that every family has something strange, some quality which puts them apart. And my cousin Murad was considered the natural descendant of the crazy streak in our tribe. Now, Murad was considered as the natural descendant. He had inherited that crazy streak in him. Before him was our uncle Khusro. There was an uncle Khusro who also was very crazy. His temperament was very weird, very strange. An enormous man, a huge man, with a powerful head of black hair and the largest moustache in the Saint Jacquin Valley. A man so furious in temper, so irritable, so impatient that he stopped anyone from talking by roaring. So he had black hair, large moustache. He had the biggest moustache in the whole valley, and he was a very short-tempered person. A person who gets angry very quickly and very irritable, used to get irritated very quickly, very impatient. He did not have patience, he won't give time to anybody. And if anybody talked, he stopped him by roaring, that is, by his loud voice, he would stop him. It is no harm, pay no attention to it. That is what he used to say. He used to tell this and stop the other person from talking. That was all. No matter what anybody happened to be talking about, he would not listen to what the other person was talking. He would just tell them to stop talking by saying this, it is no harm, pay no attention to it. Once it was his own son, Eric, running 8 blocks to the barber's shop where his father was having his moustache trimmed, to tell him their house was on fire. Once, Uncle Khusrov's son, Eric, had come running from a far place, 8 blocks. His father was in the barber's shop having his moustache trimmed. The boy came and told his father that the house was on fire. This man, Khusro, sat up in the chair and roared, "It is no harm, pay no attention to it." The barber said, "But the boy says your house is on fire." So Khusro roared, "Enough, it is no harm, I say." So he would not listen to what the other person is saying. He would only get irritated and stop that person from speaking. Now here, even when the barber told him again, repeated that your son is saying that your house is on fire, even then he did not pay any attention and to what he was saying, and said, "Enough, it is no harm, I say."